Well, good morning and welcome. I'm so glad. I know it's a beautiful Saturday, so thank you for taking time to come and hear about money and AI. If you're joining us online, welcome as well. As Angel said, my name is Scott Neubauer. I'm a financial advisor at Wisdom Investments. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in just a moment. But let me just ask if you're here in person or online, how many of you have used AI before? Okay. How many of you would say you're a little bit scared of AI? Okay. All right. How many would say, man, AI is the best thing since sliced bread? Anybody? Okay. Maybe both. I'll tell you a funny story that happened to me just this past week. In our firm, we use a phone service that actually has a note taker on it, so we don't have to manually remember everything anymore. And then after the phone call, it'll give us a recap of the phone call, which is amazing. I love it. It's a wonderful thing. But this past week, I was calling a client, I believe, to leave a message, and I actually don't think I did leave a message. But when I finished the call, it said, "Hey, your notes are available." And I looked in the notes, and I was a little bit horrified for what I saw. It said, this is verbatim what it said. It said, Scott Neubauer left a voicemail stating that AI is taking over with no additional context or details provided. I said, wow, that's a little scary. I actually think I know what happened, but maybe does it ever feel like AI is taking over? I said, yes, I know for me, sometimes it feels like AI is taking over. But I had to tell the owner of our firm and our admin, I had to send them a message. I had to say, I promise you, I'm not calling people, leaving messages that AI is taking over. Okay. So I thought that was a funny, especially given the seminar that I had coming up this Saturday. Just a little bit about myself. I won't spend a long time on this, but I have maybe a unique background when it comes to financial advising. I actually, for about 20 years, I was a pastor here in the Elgin area. And as a pastor, one of the things I did, I helped people navigate some of the most important decisions of their life through marriage and divorce and death and different things. And now I feel like a lot of what I do is kind of similar, helping people navigate through life changes and job changes and retirement and things like that. So I love what I do. That's my family there. My wife, Nolene, our two boys who are 14, 15 now. He just said 15 and 13, and wonderful family. And so that's just a little bit about me and my background, just maybe a little unique coming into this profession. So just a little kind of a roadmap today of what we're going to cover. Obviously, we can't in an hour seminar we can't cover everything. I do want to leave some time at the end for question and answer if possible. So this is a little roadmap of where we're going. We're going to talk about how AI is not really new. It's been around for a while. We'll talk about that. Then I want to give you some scenarios where you could actually potentially use AI to help you with your money and your finances. And then we're going to talk about something that is particularly important and relevant today, how AI is being used to scam people financially. This is bigger than ever before. This is all over the news. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to end. And again, I'm probably a little biased when it comes to this, but AI can be great, but it cannot do everything. And we'll end with some of the things that AI cannot do when it comes to your finances. Does that sound good to everybody? All right. Well, let's start with this because AI seems, I don't know if it feels like it to you, uh, but to me, it felt like AI just came on the scene all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, one day it was there. I remember one of the first times what it felt like for me using AI. It was with my older son was in starting algebra and he had algebra homework. And he said, Dad, can you check this homework and see if I did it right? And dad looks at it and I look over it and I said, I don't know if it's right or not. And I found an app on my phone that was like an AI homework app. And so I downloaded that app. I snapped a picture of my son's algebra homework, and it immediately told me what problems were right, what problems were wrong, and how to fix the ones that were wrong. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And this was several years ago. This was probably about 3 years ago. And I said, wow, this is incredible. And that was one of the first times I remember like it clicking in my mind, like, wow, this is a powerful tool. But the reality is that AI has actually been in our lives for quite some time. All these things right here that you can see, these are AI, and I'll tell you how it shifted and why it feels like it kind of came on the scene all of a sudden. But all these things really are AI at work that you've probably noticed for years. Have you ever made a charge on your credit card and you get that text message that says, "Did you make that charge at so and so shop?" Anybody ever got that? I get those. Well, that's AI fraud detection, and that's been around for quite some time, for quite a few years, because there's a computer program recognizing a pattern and saying that transaction you made, you don't normally buy that type of thing at that store. Is that really you, or is that some kind of a scam, or you bought something overseas? That really is AI at work. If you go into your bank app for a long time now, it will categorize your spending and say, well, you bought that coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, that's a restaurant, and you bought that thing at TJ Maxx, well, that's clothing, and it categorizes your spending. Well, that's AI, that's a computer software reading your transactions and categorizing them based on what it thinks that you spent that on. So that's been around for quite some time. Anybody here have a 401k? You've ever been in what's called a target date fund, where you say, I want to retire in 2040, and it's going to invest you accordingly so that you will hopefully, invest in the right things to be able to retire in 2040. If you've ever had that, that's AI formulating a portfolio for you based on, when you want to retire and things like that with Fidelity, Schwab, that's AI at work, and those have been around for a long time. It's using software and computer programming to determine what to invest you in. More and more, there was something I just did recently where they said, "Oh, we don't even have to, run your credit or pre-approve you. You're already approved." I said, "Well, how does that work?" "Well, it just knows. It knows that you're, credit worthy." And I said, "Wow, that's a little scary." But that's also AI. There's things like that have been around for a long time. All of you in your email, you have a box called spam. How does it know what goes to spam and what should go to your inbox? It's not perfect, right? Sometimes something important goes to the spam. That happens to me, but that's again AI being used to determine what goes to the spam box and what goes to your inbox and so forth and so on. And then even the ID verification on our phones, things like that is AI. So if it's been around for all this time, what has changed in the last 3 years or so that's made it feel like this revolution? Because it is a revolution, but it also is a slow progression. So the big difference now is that we are able to talk directly to AI. Before had required all this programming, things going on in the background. Let's see. Uh, There we go. Okay. So the big changes since 2022 are that now instead of having a programmer or a computer expert have to come and formulate all this, now you and I are able to chat and talk with AI directly. You've probably heard and you've probably used a lot of these tools, ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, Gemini. These are all AI tools that you can chat with, you can talk to, you can type things into them, you can actually use your voice to talk to them. They will talk back to you in a very realistic voice if you've seen some of those things or you've tried it. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to set it up. You can literally just type in a website on your computer or download an app on your phone, and you can be using AI and talking with it. You don't need to be a computer expert to use it anymore. You don't need an engineering degree. Now, that's a great thing, and we're going to look at some of the great things about that. The downside is everybody can do that, including the scammers, right? They can use AI. They can make their scams better. They can let, these bad actors, these phishing emails, all these things can also use this for their devious plans and so forth. And we'll talk about the defenses. How do you defend yourself against some of that stuff? But the big shift and the reason it feels like AI exploded on the scene is our ability now to talk directly to it, that you don't have to be a computer guy to be able to use it, if that makes sense. Yeah. All right. So I want to give you some things of how AI may actually be useful for you, or some things that you may want to use in your own financial life to help you. Because let's be honest, if you've used any of these tools, they can be helpful, right? They can save you lots of time. They can, things that used to take us a long time can be done very quickly now. So, how does this affect our money? And when we're dealing with our money, we particularly want to have some guardrails in place because there are scammers and there are people who want your information out there. And so we want to be very careful how we use it, but we want to be able to use it safely to benefit us and not cause problems or harm or things like that. So let's talk about a few ways we could actually use AI in our actual lives and our financial lives. Um, Anybody like me, you get some stuff in the mail or in your email that is very complex jargon, financial jargon, legal jargon. You say, I don't really understand what this is saying. And you have to comb through all this kind of fine print language. Anybody get that sort of stuff? 401k plans, insurance plans, pension plans, all these different things. They're complicated. And I know in our firm, there are times for clients we spend, literally hours scrolling through these things, trying to figure out, okay, what is this saying? What are their options here? Things like that. And one of the things where I can actually help you is, again, I want to give a caveat that you don't want to do this with specific information, but some of the fine print or some general information you can put into these tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, these things, and they can really help you, save you a lot of time potentially in explaining what some of this means. So just an example of what you might do. Um, Okay. An example is something you might say, I'm 64 years old. My employer sent me a notice about my pension. It says I can take a lump sum of 312,000 or a single life annuity of 1,840 per month. Can you explain what each option means in plain English? Then tell me the five most important questions I should ask before I decide and what risk I might be missing. A prompt like that, again, you don't want to put in your bank account info, you don't want to put your birthday, your social security, and we'll talk about that as well. But putting in some general information or copying in some fine print from some of those things can actually really save you a lot of time and explain things that previously would have been very difficult, or maybe you would have had to go to somebody to figure out. And this is where these tools can actually be somewhat helpful potentially. Now, this is the hard rule when it comes to putting things into these different chat systems, AI systems, and so forth. You never ever want to paste sensitive personal information into these free AI tools. And I'll be honest, in our firm, I was telling Bill here earlier, we have some incredible tools that have come out for us as financial advisors that we use. I was telling Bill about a tool we have in our firm that just came out to help look for tax savings and things like that. And it's an AI tool, but one, we pay a significant amount of money to use that tool. And two, it has a lot of safeguards in place for security and privacy and so forth and things like that. You never into these free chatbots want to paste personal sensitive information, social security numbers, account numbers, actual balances and dollars amounts, names, addresses, dates of birth, your login credentials, passwords, things like that. You don't want to paste those things in. That's something you have to be very careful of. You can use generalities. I have about $300,000 in a 401k. I'm in my mid 60s and this thing is happening. And if you follow those rules, it can actually be very helpful for you. Now, it's important to remember AI doesn't make the decision for you, but it makes you more informed when it comes to making the decision. It can give you more information. It can distill some of these things down. So everybody agree, we don't want to paste this stuff into AI. That can be dangerous, but we can use it to help. All right, let me give you a second scenario where AI can potentially be helpful. When you go into that meeting with your CPA, with your financial advisor, with your estate attorney, or your HR person, you can use AI to help you walk into that meeting more prepared. One example prompt that you might use is, I have a meeting next week with my financial advisor about Roth conversions. I'm 67, retired, married. What are the five most important questions I should ask? And what concepts should I make sure I understand before the meeting. You ever walk into those meetings with those professionals and you say, man, I'm not sure what to be asking? I know I talk to a lot of my clients and they're like, I need to go have a meeting with HR, but I'm not sure what to ask and so forth. AI can actually help you come up with the right questions to be asking when you walk in and sit down with those people that you can be more informed. I think the danger comes when AI is when we start thinking, well, I don't need to meet with my CPA. I don't need to meet with my estate attorney. I don't need to meet with the HR person because I'll just use AI to figure it all out. I think that's where we run into dangerous territory, but AI can make that meeting that you have with that person more valuable because you're walking in more prepared. You're walking in with a better understanding of what's going on, and you're walking in with the right questions to ask. And I know for us in our firm at Wisdom Investments, you say, well, man, my CPA may not like that, or my advisor may not like that, or they may think I'm trying to, be the smart guy and show them up. I actually personally, I love when our clients walk in with good informed questions. It's actually helpful to us. I know for us, we want to have educated clients. We want to have clients in the know. And so we actually really appreciate that when our clients come in with questions, with informed questions and prepared. And I'll be honest, what actually really disappoints us is sometimes when we find out that a client was struggling with a very important financial decision and they didn't come and check with us and they didn't come and talk to us because at the end of the day, that's what we're there for. That's what the professionals are there for. But AI can make you walk into the room ready to go, more prepared, and asking the right questions. Um, so our best clients, they bring sharp questions. All right. One more use case, and again, there's tons of use cases for AI, but I'm giving you a few that I think could potentially be helpful. Maybe you're wondering, yeah, what is going on with my finances lately? Where's my money going? And again, I preface all this with, if you do these things, you need to be very careful. I think a great analogy is never tell AI anything that you wouldn't tell to a crowded elevator. Okay. If you wouldn't say this in an elevator with a bunch of people, probably don't be chatting with AI about it. All right. But if you're wondering, sometimes you're wondering, well, what's going on with my money? Why does it feel like I don't have as much money as I did? You can actually use AI and put in, again, kind of a general list of your spending in different categories and ask AI to look at patterns or maybe erroneous expenses or things that are getting out of hand, things that are drifting up, or how does my spending compare to other people in my similar situation? And it'll give you a comparison, and it might help point out areas where you can reduce spending or change spending. And so that's one option. Another option is to use software that's using AI. So there's different apps. There's Dave Ramsey has an app called Every Dollar, Monarch Money, Rocket Money. There's a lot of these, and they have security built into them, just like your banking apps and things like that. But they use AI to auto categorize your spending and to point out trends that you would never notice manually. In fact, I know there's some of these things that will look at your spending and they will notice if you got subscriptions. Anybody feel like you've got a million subscriptions these days? Subscription for this and that and Netflix and man, music and everything now is you used to go to who misses the days when you went to the library, the store, you bought a CD, you put it in your Walkman and and you just listen to it. Now you got to subscribe to get that music. You got to subscribe to get those movies. You don't just pop in a DVD for most people. Um, but I know there's some of these apps that can help you identify. Sometimes I forget that I've got a subscription to this or that. And some of these things use AI to point out and show you, okay, areas that you're missing to point out spending habits that you would probably not noticed on your own. And so that's kind of an always on system that you can use. But if you want a one-time check, you can potentially use some of these chatbots. Again, anonymously, you're not pasting in particular details of your accounts and things like that. Does that make sense? Um, all right, let's spend a little bit of time because I think this is um, probably one of the areas that has the biggest potential where we're at right now to really affect people's lives. Does anyone here in the room, have you known someone who's been affected by a scam, by a financial scam? Anybody? Yeah. I do. I actually had someone close to me. I might share a little bit. But AI is making scams cheaper, faster, and more convincing. It's actually pretty astonishing what is happening. These are some of the facts, and even these, they're changing all the time. These are outdated. The one number I have is from 2024, which is, I'm sure, much higher now. Um, but it's bigger than you think. And hopefully, I hope nobody here has been affected by these, but the breadth of how much these are affecting people are incredible. $12.5 billion reported to the FTC was lost in 2024. That's 2 years old now. And here's the reality. Most cases, because people who get scammed are embarrassed, people realize there's very little chance they're going to get their money back from these overseas scams. And so most people don't even report the scam to the authorities. So 12.5 billion is only the amount that is reported. Billion, 12.5 billion. 2.95 billion is lost to imposter scams alone. This is where somebody is pretending to be someone else. And this is the category that is going bonkers with AI because now it is getting very easy to impersonate someone else. And then 4.8 billion is the amount lost by Americans age 60 plus. And this is the demographic that's most heavily targeted. And we think of seniors being targeted the most, but I'll be honest, I'm not there yet. But I notice even myself lately, I have to double and triple check certain emails. I have to, look at things because there's been a few times where I thought, man, this looks really, really legit. And so I would caveat that and say it's not just seniors falling for these scams anymore. It can be anyone of any age because they're getting so good. So let's dive into these a little bit more because this is the one that's growing the most. Uh, the voice cloning scam or the grandparent scam. Anybody here, you've got grandkids that post videos online, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Okay. Well, here's the scam. Scammers can now take those videos of your grandkids and all this information that lives online, they can connect that, that grandkid belongs to this grandparent and they can grab that voice or that video from that public source, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, podcast, whatever, and use these tools, some of them free, some of them cost a little bit of money. And what they do, they take the voice from your grandchild and they duplicate it and they say, well, now have this person say, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. My car broke down and I'm stranded out here. Can you please, Zelle me, $2,000 to get my, whatever it might be. And they call grandma, it's me, I'm in trouble. Don't tell mom and dad, I need $5,000 wired to me right now. And these are the scams that are getting so good because they're getting so easy. And here's the number: 15 to $50,000 is the average lost in a single phone call. And that's per ARP of documented cases, and it's the fastest growing scam type of imposter fraud in the U.S. And what grandparent doesn't want to help their kid if they're calling and saying, "Man, I'm in trouble, I'm in danger"? Any grandparent's going to want to help their kid. So I understand why it's growing. I understand why it's such a big deal. So what do we do to defend against something like this? And I think this is very important. If there's one thing that you take away from this seminar today, it may be this that could save you thousands, if not more, of dollars if you implement this in your family. This is what a suggestion is that for your family, your kids, your grandkids, that you pick a word. You can pick any word, maybe it's some word that's unique to your family. Pineapple, Buick, Cardinals. So I would say Cubs, not Cardinals, but hey, pick a word and tell all your family, this is our family safe word, that if you ever call me and you need help, you need to say that word. And that is the word to know it's really you. It's not, it's not a scammer. It's not an impersonation. And so you have a family meeting or you have a family text group and you say, hey guys, we're setting up this word. This is what our word is. If you ever call me and you're in trouble and you need help, you need to say the safe word. And you can change this word every so often. So it, even make sure that doesn't get out there, just like you change a password. In essence, that's what it is. It's a family password. It's a family verbal password to keep your family safe. And doesn't have to be a long conversation. You could probably do this over text if you needed to. Um, and then you say if an emergency money calls in, you need to say the safe word. If you don't say the safe word, we're calling you back at a cell phone number that we know is yours, or something like that. And this little conversation could save your family one of a huge scam, a huge loss of money just by implementing this one tool. And I know, maybe if you're here and you're younger, you think, well, that's only for, seniors, for grandparents. I'd say even, I've got, like I told you, I have kids that, 13 and 15, and we have something similar in our family. Like if you're going to call me, because I don't want to assume, and here's the challenge, don't ever assume that you can't be scammed. Sometimes we think, well, I'm smart, I'm tech savvy, I'm this and that. Don't ever assume that you won't fall for one of these things, because they're only going to get better and better as time goes on.
What's your safe?
And if somebody asks you for the safe word, don't tell them what it is. That's rule number two. Uh, but, um, Okay, so I would strongly encourage you, if you do nothing else after this seminar, take this idea. If you haven't already implemented something like that, do it. Do it today. It's real quick, real easy. Okay, now something even kind of a step further than these voice impersonations are deep fake video impersonations. And this is not just from a family member. This can be from your financial advisor. This can be from your CPA. And now AI is getting so good that it can create videos that look, it can find a video of Scott Neubauer online and create a video of him saying, hey, you need to wire, X amount of money to Wisdom Investments and send it to my clients. And so it's not just relegated to family or your CPA that looks and sounds real, asking you to authorize a wire or transfer money somewhere. I'll just show you this one real quick. I don't know if anybody saw this story. This was all over the news back in 2024. A finance worker got a call from what was purported to be their CFO, their chief financial officer, telling them to send wire $25 million somewhere. Now, what employee wants to disobey their CFO? Right. It's like you do this or I lose my job or whatnot. And so what a precarious situation to be in. And they wired the $25 million. And of course it was a scam. It was a fake video of their CFO. And yeah, it was all over the news. $25 million in one.
Oh, you got fired.
I don't know what happened to them, but I would imagine that would be my guess. Um, but this is it's not gonna go away anytime soon. It's only gonna increase. So, what are the things we can do to try and defend against things like this? You never make financial decisions just based on a video call. If I show up on a video call to one of my clients, I hope they're questioning that, because that's not something that I do very regularly. Or if some email with a video of me shows up in their inbox, they need to question it. If your advisor video calls unexpectedly with something urgent, hang up, call the office main number, call the main number. Anything that's, urgent, anything that you've got to do it right now. Those are all red flags. Set a rule with your financial professional saying, you're not just gonna, call me up immediately and tell me to do these things that I didn't initiate. Those are red flags. And so talk about those things with your financial professionals and what the protocol is. We have in our firm, because there's so many scamming, I from time to time, I have clients email and say, can you transfer, X amount of money to this account? And we have a rule in our firm that we don't do that based on email alone. We verify with a phone call. We follow up because this is so prevalent in the day and age that we live in. So be on guard. I wish I could say it's going to go away, but the reality is it's probably not. It's not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's probably going to get better and better. Does anybody remember these? And you don't really see these anymore, But remember the emails you used to get from Nigeria or someplace, and it was all in broken English, and you got some inheritance from someone, but you just gotta, send something to release the money. And you know what I realized the other day? I like we don't get those anymore. You don't see those anymore. Why? Because there aren't those broken English, poor grammar, email things anymore because nobody needs to have those. Anybody can write with fluent, perfect English and sound very convincing because of AI. Um, these scammers can write emails in flawless English. They can generate invoices. I joke with my boss because I get emails asking to pay for like a $50,000 coaching program that he was enrolled in, and I get emails telling me you need to pay for Jose's coaching program that he was enrolled in, and of course they're fake, but I get them quite often, but they get better and better because it went from kind of messed up, do this now to very professionally generated invoices that look very, very real. And so AI is making it very easy to create, flawless emails, not just flawless emails, but perfect. Like they can mimic what PayPal sends you, what your bank sends you with the logo and everything. And so you have to be more, this is not, I don't want anyone to leave fearful or scared. It's that we put defenses in place. So you need to be very, very careful about clicking on links about your money. Um, I understand sometimes banks will send you things with click this or click that, but you need to check and make sure who is it really from. And if you're ever in doubt, even a little bit, go to your bank's website and go directly to that bank, chase.com or BMO or whatever it is, and go there to check for your alerts, to check your account, because that's the safest way. Um, that's AI taking over right there. It took over my presentation. Didn't like what I was saying. No, we're back. So check the actual website itself. Check the address that email came from to make sure it's actually from chase.com or whatever bank you use. Um, Urgencies generally equal scams. Real banks, yes.
Yeah, when you get an email, before you open it up, go up and put your arrow and see if it says Chase Bank in there. I still wouldn't open it, but then you call your bank, or no, log into your bank and check it out. But I learned this from a friend 2 years ago. Put it on the email, it'll come up with a different type of email, forward, whatever, and you know it's not from them.
They've gotten better at faking that. They use a different font. So they'll say Chase Bank, but because it's a different font, you gotta be very careful.
That
Get better at this all the time.
That is true. That is one of the first ways, but as Roy was saying and stuff too, even that sometimes they're again better at faking some of that, those sorts of things. But yes, that would be a first defense check to see what address is this email from, because in the past it'd be some gobbledygook strange email and you say this is not my bank or whatever, but those are getting better as well. Urgency usually equals scam. Real banks, real advisors, the IRS, they're not going to tell you, you got to do this right now. You got to do this right away. Anybody who's pressuring you to act fast, you need to treat as very suspicious. And then anytime you're in doubt, call back with a verified number that you know is your advisor's number, your bank's number, your CPA's number, your lawyer's number. Always call back a verified number. To make sure, like, okay, I'm calling the official number. If somebody's calling you from a strange number saying they're so and so, that's obviously a red flag you want to watch out for. But yeah, the days of the badly written, the king in Nigeria who needs you to, release some money, send some money so your inheritance can be released. Those are over. It's way better now. Yeah. If you missed out on that inheritance, it's not coming back. So. And then here's one more to be aware of, because this is also very popular. This is one where I had somebody who a personal friend of mine, who was in a very vulnerable position, got scammed by one of these, and they call them AI's taking over again. Doesn't like us exposing the scams. They call it a romance scam, but I would actually say it doesn't necessarily have to be romance. Romance means somebody who's pretending to be in a relationship with you, romantically interested in you, but the person that I knew, it was not romance. It was they had lost their job and were very vulnerable, and somebody struck up a relationship with them, And then what they did is actually showed them fake returns, fake investing accounts where there were just fake graphs generated on a website showing these returns and got them to invest some money and then made it look like they were making money in this investment scam. And you say, well, look, you put in $20,000 and now you're up to $100,000, and would show them on a website that was all generated by them, and they're just editing the code in the background. But then, of course, when he wanted to go and take some money out, well, in fact, what they do is they actually give you a little bit of money out to make you think that it's real. But then when he tried to take a significant amount out, well, you need to pay 10 grand more for the taxes in order to get this money out. Um, and these are huge as well. And you have to be very, very careful because AI is supercharging these as well. So anyone you've never met in person who's trying to steer you towards a financial decision, and again, I say that in person via Zoom, a trusted person. Until you've proven otherwise, you got to assume that they're a scammer. And that includes, someone you think you're falling in love with or that. Yeah, right.
This is just a quick comment. It's gotten so bad that they make fake sites that let them selling products at very cheap prices. You send them your money, you're never gonna see it.
Yeah.
I used to work at Weber, and I saw one bad for Weber, I checked it out, it's totally fake.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
If it's unbelievable, it probably is.
Right. And one thing I noticed, my wife started sending me some Facebook Marketplace listings for like this beautiful patio furniture at prices that looked like too good to be true, like $100 for this brand new set. And as I dug into it, it was these generated sites. They take your credit card. Um, I think one time I actually had to get a new credit card because it's a fake site, takes your credit card information, looks like a real deal, and then of course it's a scam. But they look very legit, and so AI has made scams look all the more legitimate, and so that means double check, verify is getting all the more important. Like again, I say you can't trust yourself. I don't trust myself anymore, and I'm a financial advisor. I'd like, a financial expert, and I don't trust myself. I double check and I verify because they're getting so good and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, that's kind of a Ponzi scheme variation. Absolutely.
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, one rule, don't assume you can't get scammed because we all can. The
Yeah,
best of us.
One of our clients in the firm, her brother lost $600,000. Thinking they were investing in a legitimate corporation of $600,000. Scariest, saddest thing, and now this client is now having to take care of her brother and her sister alone because they lost.
Wow.
That was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, not to be fearful, but to be on guard, to be careful. And this AI didn't create scams, just made them cheaper, faster, and more convincing. And the defenses haven't really changed. We just need to be more vigilant about using them. Slow down, double check, we verify, we call back, and you never make a decision under pressure. Never let somebody pressure you into decision. Yeah, and that's something as advisors, we're very careful. We don't ever want to pressure anybody into a vision. That's red flag number one. Anytime somebody's pressuring you into a decision. So realize AI has a lot of wonderful uses, but just like pretty much any tool, it can be used for good and it can be used for evil. And in where it's used for evil, we want to be on guard. So we spent some time there, but I think it's important. I think knowing some of these things can potentially save you thousands and thousands of dollars to be aware of some of this. Before we open it up to some questions, I just want to speak for a few minutes. Then we kind of land on why, if we have AI and AI is so great, why do we still need humans? Why do we need investment professionals? Why do we need financial advisors? Why do we need CPAs if AI is so wonderful? And so I want to give you a few kind of case scenarios and things where I believe, and again, I'm biased, I'm an advisor, and one of the things in our industry, we hear all the time with AI is that AI is going to put you out of job, AI is going to put you out of business. I'm actually not too worried about that, and here's why. I'll share why. This is, in a way, this is not new for a lot of professions. Way back in 1976, Vanguard launched the first index fund, and there were some people way back then that said, "Wow, that's going to, put advisors and people, different things out of business." Because, if you're not familiar with an index fund copies an index S&P or Dow Jones Industrial or the Russell 2000 or the NASDAQ. It just pretty much copies that index and lets people invest in an index at a low cost. And some people do that with great success. I won't deny that. But the fact that index funds became a thing, humans were still needed, advisors were still needed. Then the 1990s came along, and there's financial experts like Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, books and teeth. Anybody read a Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey book here? You've ever been exposed to their material? Okay. And they said, wow, we got these financial experts. It's so much easier to get your hands on this. Maybe we don't need, human advisors anymore. And I'll be honest, I benefited a lot. Dave Ramsey made a big impact on my family. But one thing I tell people, because we get people who've, been influenced by those, they come in our office. I always tell them personal finance is personal. Generic, but you can give principles and you can give tools, but at the end of the day, everybody's financial situation and more importantly, everybody's values are unique. And so you can't give one size doesn't fit all when it comes to financial advice. And I remember this, very, very near, was not long ago. They started to be these robo advisors that arrived on the scene. If you ever heard of some of these places like Betterment, and they basically said, you're not going to have a human do the investing, but there's going to be basically AI, computer programming, that is going to, give you an investment plan and invest you according. You're going to answer some questions, and then it's just going to invest you accordingly using a logarithm to invest you into the right things. And I remember that was all over the news. It's going to put, financial advisors out of business. People are going to use robo advisors and, this and that. And yet, there are more Americans using financial advisors today than ever, because there are things, even though these tools are great, and I'm the first to say utilize the tools, but there are some things that you can't download. There's some things that a computer still cannot do for you that a human being can do for you. Excuse me. And here's one of the things that's important. AI is an answer machine, but financial advisors are an action machine. If you remember when WebMD came out 25 years ago, I remember as a kid, and man, I'm dating myself now, but I remember as a kid when I had a medical issue or my parents didn't know what was wrong. They had these books. I don't remember, like medical journals or like medical book. They would look up in the thing what was wrong and try and how to treat it or what they should do and things like that. I don't know if anybody else had those in their home, but my mom looked at that book all the time. Well, now today, WebMD has been around for 25 years, and yet we still have doctors, right? We still have plenty of doctors. Because knowing what's wrong with you, and I can Google and try and figure out what's wrong with me, but there's knowing what's wrong with you, and then there's actually doing something about it. And those are two different things. AI is largely about information. It will give you some phenomenal information. It will tell you what you should do, but it will not make sure you actually do it. I know as an advisor, a lot of time I spend a lot of time on the phone and helping clients actually do the thing they need to make their retirement successful. AI is not going to get on the phone with you and help you roll over the 401k that's been sitting there since 2019. That's maybe sitting in cash. It's not even invested. AI is not going to tell you how to change or get you to change the beneficiaries on your IRA that still maybe has your ex-spouse on there. AI is not going to, make sure you don't miss your Roth conversion window between retirement and your RMDs. AI is not going to make sure you rebalance that portfolio that's been sitting there for a long time. And so AI can give you info, but it can't help you take action. And I'll be honest, in our job as financial advisors, one of our biggest things is to actually help people act on their goals and make decisions that are based on their financial values. Or sometimes our job is to help people not to act, as in this scenario. I remember a phone call that I made back in March 2025. And if you follow the markets at all, you know that in March 2025, President Trump announced his, I forget what he called it, but he announced tariffs. I remember him holding that big giant board up and saying, we're going to, give tariffs on, these different countries. And the market responded to that in March of 2025, where it took about approximately a 20% dip over that period of time. And I had a particular client who was about to retire. They were going to retire in the month of May. Now, that's the last thing that you want to see when you're getting ready to retire is the market to take a 20% 20% dip right before you're getting ready to need those funds that you've been working hard for your entire life. So I remember thinking that, hey, this client's getting ready to retire. Let me pick up the phone and give them a call. And so I picked up the phone and I say, hey, sir, Mr. So-and-so, how are you doing? I know you're probably watching the markets and you're getting ready for retirement. I'm sure this isn't what you wanted to see. He said, no, this is not what I wanted to see. This is actually pretty nerve-wracking. I said, I completely understand. And one of the things I remember I mentioned to him, so maybe not these words exactly, but I said something similar to the drop isn't the real risk, your reaction to it is. Because when things drop like that, the gut reaction is what? It's to let me get my money out, let me get my money to a safe place. And sometimes one of our biggest jobs as advisors is to actually help people stay in their seat and not take some kind of an action. And I remember over the course of this conversation that I had with this gentleman, he said at the end of the conversation, he said, "Oh my goodness, I feel so much better." And now we never know what the market's going to do, but thankfully for this client of ours, the market recovered fairly quickly. Things went back up, calm returned to the situation. But I say all of that to say that AI is not going to pick up the phone and call you when you are about to retire in a month or two and the markets are volatile or they're going crazy. AI is not going to, walk you through what your values are and what's important to you. AI will give you advice in a crash, but it's not going to be on the phone with you when it matters. And that's why we I believe, still need a human touch. AI is important. You wanted to add something, Roy?
Well, there's another reason why you need a human touch. I've never used AI for financial. That's kind
Yeah.
of why I'm here. But I've used it for other things. And you can ask questions, and how you ask the question will give you a different answer.
Yeah.
Part of that is, if you have somebody you're working with that knows a lot about the subject, they can give you more questions to ask.
Yes.
It gives you a bigger picture.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, so along those lines, what AI can't do, if ChatGPT gives you advice that costs you 200 grand, who are you going to call? Who are you going to take it up with? You're going to take it up with Sam Altman and OpenAI? AI will tell you it has no legal obligation to your best interest. In fact, they will tell you this is not a financial advice. And a lot of times what AI does, it will actually agree with you. It'll simply echo user input, that it'll just agree with what you want to do. And that's where a human can challenge you. And one of the things as an advisor, and if you use an advisor, or if you're looking for an advisor, I encourage you to look for a fiduciary advisor, because the word fiduciary just means that it's a fiduciary advisor like myself and like our firm, is that we're legally and ethically bound to put your best interests first above our own interest, above the firm's profits, that we are under a strict obligation to provide objective and transparent advice and to avoid any conflicts of interest. AI doesn't have that obligation. AI doesn't have that criteria. And so if they give you bad advice, which it may from time to time, there's nobody to call. There's no fiduciary obligation on the part of AI. And they'd have no skin. They don't have any skin in the game. And here's kind of the bottom line, and this is really why I do what I do and why I enjoy what I do. AI may feel like it knows you. I know sometimes I chat with it and I feel like it's accumulated so much information about me that I feel like it knows me, right? It knows my wife's name. It knows my dog's name, for goodness sake. It knows my oldest child and my youngest child. And I sometimes feel like AI knows me pretty well. In fact, you can generate these images and say, AI, make a graphic about me based on everything you know about me. And it might be pretty surprising how much it really knows about you. But the reality is AI is still computer software. It's information that is living in a data center somewhere, and it doesn't really know you. It doesn't know your values. It doesn't know what's important to you. It doesn't know what that nest egg that you've been saving for really is, what you want to do with it. And at the end of the day, more importantly, it doesn't genuinely care about you or your financial situation. And that's where a good financial advisor, and they do. They care about you. They care about your situation. They care about your values, and they care about what happens to you in the long run. And that would be, to me, at the end of the day, the biggest reason why What we do is still important. Why our job is going to matter for the long haul is because AI doesn't genuinely care. And I do. I care about our clients. I care about the people we work for. And that doesn't mean we toss out the baby with the bathwater. AI is a wonderful thing. It can have a wonderful use. But as we've seen today, we need to be careful. There's guardrails we put in place and things like that. So that's the heart of what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you found something helpful in there. We have a little bit of time left, I think about 10 minutes or so. I'd love to open it up. I know we've got Q&A online for those who are there. If there's any questions here in person, I'm happy to try and tackle those for you. And if I don't know the answer, I'll try and get the answer to you at a later date. But yeah, Tom.
You know, as far as all these scams go, the romance scams are terrible. Problem is, they pick on seniors, widows, they're old, they're lonely, they know they're being scammed. They don't care.
Yeah.
Nobody talks to them anymore.
Yeah.
So the guy says, send me 10,000, we can be friends. They do.
Yeah.
And they know it's a scam.
Yeah.
And another big thing, your health insurance. They will send, I get stuff about my health insurance. Your health insurance has lapsed.
Yeah.
Send us 10,000 or you will no longer have insurance.
Yeah.
As a senior, you kind of freak out about that.
Yeah.
And then you get it from everybody. Netflix, I don't even have Netflix. Every month or so I get a bill from Netflix. If you haven't paid your Netflix bill, we're gonna shut off your Netflix. They're taking, AI.
Yeah.
So it's so widespread. I get them from Target, I get them from Home Depot.
Yeah.
It's not from them.
Yeah.
So it just shows you that it's so widespread. You just gotta tell people, if you don't know the person, just let it go.
Yeah.
That's all.
And that's where you made an interesting point about, seniors, maybe they don't care because they just feel like somebody's taking an interest in them. And that's where I think for, those, if you've got other seniors in your life, it's important to come alongside of them, one, to let them know there is somebody that cares, I care, and to help them put things in place to avoid these types of things, because you brought up an interesting
That money's
point.
gone, baby, it's gone.
Yeah. Don.
I just found out 5 years ago, is my social security number is out there, okay? And I got from Chase Bank, they informed me that, and they told me, go to social security and create an account where you have to log in. And that way, nobody can mess with the thing and try and use your social security, but they can't log in,
Yeah.
do anything with it.
Good point.
Yeah.
I use the Google AI, when you use the Google search mechanism. Are there other ones I should look at?
There are others out there, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not an expert on AI, and I can't really tell you which one to use. I can tell you some of that are out there. And one thing I will tell you, different ones are better at different things. And one thing, I don't know if you and I were talking before, something you can do is put your same query into multiple AI tools and then compare the results that they give you. Sometimes you basically kind of like getting a second opinion in a way. Okay, Google AI, Gemini, you said this, but okay, ChatGPT, what do you say about this? And Claude, what do you say about this? That sometimes can be helpful when you're researching something or looking for information, is because they will give you different responses. And one thing I do know about AI is that you can program it in a sense, or you can train it in how it responds to you. One thing I noticed about an AI is by default, they naturally agree with you a lot. They want to be pleasing to you. They're almost like this little, like they want to please you, but you can actually tell it, things like, I want you to challenge me on this, or I want you to challenge my thoughts about this subject. I want you to challenge my, presuppositions. And then it will do what you ask. It will challenge you more on the things that you're saying, or it'll push back a little more on you. So that would be one. I would, again, if it's something very important, you may want to try putting it into 2 or 3 different of the tools and see what comes back.
And what's working today is probably going to change. Everybody's hearing about SpaceX coming out, OpenAI, and Anthropic coming out. It's going to change the entire AI game again, because AI is going to rewrite AI. what we think works today is probably not gonna work tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
And one thing I heard recently is you can actually ask AI how to use AI and it will tell you how to use it properly, like what kind of prompts to put in, and things like that. So if you're not sure, like, what do I need to ask it to get this, you can actually put in there, what should I say in order to get, this kind of information or to get the best information? It will actually tell you the prompts to use. But yeah, as Jose mentioned, it's changing all the time. So what's the best one today? Somebody comes out, oh, we got a new model. Well, now suddenly that company is now best because they launched their new model and so forth. Yeah, any other questions?
So
Yeah, Bill.
we had the situation where, my wife was home, I wasn't there. And she started getting emails that, there are men out front of your house and if we give you, you need to give us your credit card or they're gonna come in and take you.
Wow. Wow.
Then they were talking about the granddaughter, we've got your granddaughter.
Oh, God.
Oh,
So we called the police
Oh, first.
and, they sat out front of the house for most of the evening. This was late at night too. So, it was, pretty scary. And I wasn't home, so as soon as I found out, I came home. We called the police and they were very good. They just sat out front of the house waiting just in case
yeah.
it was real, but the cop looked at it and said, oh, it's from overseas.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, but that's a pretty extreme one. That would be scary, no doubt.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, they work on fear. Remember that. They work on fear.
Yeah.
Whenever they call you, whenever they send you, it's not because they like you, they want to scare you.
Yes.
It's about fear.
We have one too from the IRS to say, you pay your IRS. We've got agents out front of the house that are gonna go and arrest you if you don't pay.
Wow.
So I don't know why we're getting such scary emails, but.
Yeah, wow. Wow. We got a couple minutes left. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
So as a financial advisor and a fiduciary, do these firms, your firm, use any AI tools to rebalance people's portfolios? Or do you see that happening in the future where they would use it as a tool?
Well, certainly, rebalancing a portfolio, doesn't really require AI. You're rebalancing it to the targets that you've kind of already, you set, okay, we want a portfolio to be invested, 10% in this, 20% in this, 30% in this. And so as assets grow or decline, depending on what the market does, things get out of balance. And so we rebalance them to whatever that client's typical portfolio is. So we're not really using AI for that particular thing. Now, we do use AI in our firm for certain things. I mentioned, I don't know if it was here with somebody, some tax software that we use that helps give tax recommendations, some really great recommendations, and it's something that before would take you hours and hours and hours to do. Now AI can do some of that same stuff very quickly. I know AI is certainly involved, not particularly with our firm, but in some firms with helping generate portfolios, to invest in, what investments to, put in, evaluating portfolios. We have tools to evaluate portfolios that I'm sure are utilizing AI to some degree to give, scores and different things on how good a portfolio is or how bad it is. So not particularly to rebalancing, but there are AI tools that we utilize in our profession for sure. Does that answer your question?
One question, how do we determine what's good AI and what's bad AI? I guess that's the big issue.
Well, I think it's similar to kind of when the whole age of the internet. Obviously,
Yeah.
the internet is a tremendous tool that we all use today, but it can also be reused for tremendous bad. At the end of the day, is the AI doing something that either aligns with your values and what you consider integral, or is it doing something that is contrary to your values? Is it helping you scam people? Is it helping you lie to people? I mean, I was having a conversation with someone before the seminar, just how schools are navigating the whole AI because it makes it very easy for students to, cheat more or less because AI can write their papers and AI, to me, that would be a bad use of AI because that contradicts my values of integrity. And if you're going to put your name to work, you better have done that work. But can AI be used in schoolwork for good? Absolutely. I try and help my two boys navigate that very treacherously all the time. Like, what's the fine? Because the line has gotten very thin. The line between good use and bad use, you can cross over in a split second because, hey, AI, can you give me some suggestions on how to write this paper? And then AI will say, would you like me to go ahead and write this for you? And if you say yes, it'll go ahead and write the whole thing for you. So the line is very thin on sometimes what's a good use and what's a bad use of AI. Yeah. Since, yes. Yes.
But is the Meta, the Gemini, all those are artificial intelligence?
Yeah, they're all different, what we call models basically. So, each company has a model. Meta has I think theirs is called Manus. They have a model. Google has theirs called Gemini. And then they're always innovating. So you'll hear in the news, well, Google released a new model today, that's supposed to be better. Sometimes they're not always better, but they're always updating these models. And so one day someone will say, well, this company is the top, AI model. Then a company will release a new one. Well, now they're the top AI, and the reality is they're all good at kind of different things. Some are really good at like generating images. Some are good at generating video. Others are good at doing research. Others are good at doing writing, and it's changing all the time. It's really hard to stay on top of it. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, I think we're about right, Angel, we're about done. So, I want to thank everybody for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you are, I don't know if this is, let's see if this is still working here. Here we go. That is my information. I do have a few cards over here. If you'd like, if I can be of help, in any way, please reach out if you're interested. We're not high pressure at all at Wisdom Investments, but if you would like a free financial checkup, we're happy to do that either in person. We're in Hoffman Estates. We also do Zoom meetings if that's easier. But we'd love to be of help. If you do want to leave your information and stay in touch, there's some forms over there. You can do that, and we'd love to put you on our email list. We do send out news, market commentaries, maybe some AI news every now and then. But if you're interested in that, you're welcome to share your information, or you can scan the code there as well. So